Have you ever had that sudden, chilling realization that you don't actually know what you believe? You know the feeling, that moment in a heated debate or a late night scroll through your feed, where you realize your firm stance feels less like a conviction and more like a script you've been rehearsing for years. It's a heavy realization to sit with. It makes you wonder, are you the protagonist of your own mind, or are you just a passenger in a vehicle driven by someone else? You've been taught that you are an independent thinker. You're told that your opinions are your own property, like your clothes or your home. But what if those opinions aren't yours at all? What if they were prepackaged, bought from a parent, curated by an algorithm, or inherited from a tribe you were born into? This is the hidden pattern of the modern human experience. We are living in an era of opinion overwhelm. Because the world is so complex and the sheer volume of information is so staggering, your brain has developed a survival mechanism to keep from collapsing under the weight of it. Instead of doing the heavy lifting of deep, independent thought, your mind takes the path of least resistance. It borrows a worldview. It adopts a pre-made set of conclusions because it feels safer than the exhausting work of reaching them yourself. Psychologists often refer to this as a form of dead closure. It's the act of accepting a conclusion without actually doing the work to reach it. You accept the why because someone else already did the work for you and you've simply signed the lease on their logic. Think about your most passionate beliefs, the ones that make your blood boil when someone disagrees with you. If you find yourself reaching for a buzzword, or a specific influencer's phrasing, or a parent's favorite truth to defend your position, you aren't expressing a conviction. You're reciting a script, you're hosting an opinion, not owning it. This is how your mind gets hijacked. It starts small. It begins with the echo chamber effect. You seek out the voices that already agree with you, which reinforces the prepackaged beliefs you already hold. Every time you click on a headline that confirms your bias, or every time you laugh at a joke that mocks the other side, you are laying another brick in a wall that keeps you from seeing the truth. You aren't thinking for yourself. You are performing for an audience. Let's look at the red flags. The first one is the outrage reflex. Do you ever feel an immediate, visceral sense of anger or superiority toward a certain group or idea before you've even looked at the facts? That spike of adrenaline isn't your own organic response. That emotion was likely programmed into you by an algorithm designed to keep you engaged through high arousal content. The algorithm doesn't care about your truth, it cares about your reaction. When you react, you give it permission to own your opinion. You become a data point in a machine that is manufacturing your worldview for you. The second red flag is the inconsistency gap. This is what happens when your words and your actions live in different zip codes. You might hold a very principled opinion about how the world should work. But your daily habits, the way you spend your money, the way you treat your coworkers, the way you spend your free time contradict it. If your actions don't align with your beliefs, it's a sign that your opinion is a social mask. It's something you wear to feel like a good person, not a core truth you live by. Then there is the one-sided influence. Think about your closest friendships. Are you in a relationship where one person consistently insists on having things their way? In these dynamics, your opinions can be eroded by social conformity. You start to agree with them not because you've been convinced by their logic, but because you've been conditioned to avoid the discomfort of conflict. You are slowly surrendering your mental real estate to keep the peace. Now, here is where it gets uncomfortable. There is a harsh philosophical stance that suggests you aren't actually entitled to your opinion. The argument is this: you are only entitled to what you can argue for. In our modern culture, having an opinion is often treated as a right granted by existence. But if an opinion isn't forged in a fire of rigorous thought, research, and self-reflection, is it actually an opinion, or is it just a prejudice in a tuxedo? This is a spicy take because it attacks the idea of safe spaces for thought. It suggests that having an opinion is a privilege earned through the work of deprogramming yourself. But we have to be careful. If we demand that everyone earn their opinions through academic study, do we risk silencing the lived experiences of people who don't have the luxury of time to study their own oppression? The goal isn't to silence voices. The goal is to ensure that the voices we hear are coming from human beings, not from scripts. This brings us to the spotlight effect. This is the psychological phenomenon where we overestimate how much other people are actually noticing our actions or our thoughts. We often adopt opinions because we are terrified of disappointing people. We think everyone is watching us, judging our correctness. But the truth is, most people are too busy worrying about their own masks to notice yours. This is your liberation. If people aren't actually watching you as closely as you fear, you are free to stop performing. You can stop borrowing opinions to fit in. You can stop nodding along to the memes that make you feel safe. You can start seeking unvarnished honesty. This means looking at the things you believe and asking the hardest question of all: is this mine? The most valuable skill of the next decade won't be having more information. We already have too much of that. The most valuable skill will be the ability to deprogram yourself. It is the ability to sit in a vacuum away from the feed, away from the family dinner, away from the tribe, and see what thoughts remain when the noise stops. The ultimate power move isn't being right, it's being free. It's the ability to look at your own mind and realize that you are the one holding the pen. You don't have to believe everything you think today. You are allowed to put down the script. You are allowed to start the work of finding out who you actually are,